It's hard to explain how hard we prepare for it.
It embodies the tradition, the history of the game.
It's the greatest golf tournament that we play all year.
It's like playing golf in a nursery or in heaven.
There's nothing like Augusta National and the Masters Tournament.
Yes, sir! In your life have you seen anything like that? There it is! A win for the ages. Once and for all. Can you believe it? The return to glory.
If that does not get you hyped and jacked and ready, look, it would be easy for me to stay calm and say it's Masters Week and this is a little different, but I'm America's caddy, Michael Collins.
You need me for the golf voice.
That's exactly why I have you, Matt Barrie. Thanks for hanging out.
You need me to paint the picture of Amen Corner and the bridge in one of the most ideal-looking settings in all of the world of golf. That's what you need for the Masters setup.
Well, that's why I have you here.
I know.
That's the whole point.
It's good seeing you, by the way.
It's great seeing you, too. I am sitting down in the leather seat wearing a jacket for you.
Yeah, I was
to do
thrown
this.
off the fact that you dressed like an adult. A professional television adult. I'll take it one step further. You're welcome.
Yeah, I got pants on. As a caddy, you know, caddy, man, it is rare to have long slacks on, but this is how we roll, man. This is the 30-minute Masters preview. Now, normally this 30-minute would be leading into the par 3 contest, but there's no par 3 contest this year. So we still want to make it feel like it's supposed to feel and the Masters and everything leading into the Masters. So even though we don't have the par 3 contest this year, we still want to do a little preview and talk about the Masters.
And what I will say with this show this year, I mean, each and every year there's so many traditions that go along with the Masters in April, but as you know, COVID-19 has been all over this country and all over this world, really. It's impacted every sport, and the Masters wasn't any different. I'll say this, number one, the fact that we still have a Masters, even though it's not played traditionally in April, and we have it here in November, I think we're all grateful for that.
That's a win.
There have been some things that have gone by the wayside that we typically see at the Masters, one of them being the par 3 contest. It's a tradition on Wednesdays. We love that. It's the golfers and their kids and their families, too. Maybe most notably, because this could affect the outcome of the tournament, no patrons at Augusta National. And that's something that we're going to get into because, Michael, you and I have talked about on Maddie and the Caddy, the podcast. There are players that feed off the patrons, and there are going to be players who may take advantage of the fact that there aren't thousands of people.
And there might be something to that fact, knowing that the first 2 majors that we've had so far this year are both first-time major winners.
Bryson DeChambeau, Collin Morikawa.
That is absolutely correct. The other cool thing, not cool, but the other thing that COVID has affected us is that this was supposed to be a 94-man field. We're 2 men short. Joaquin Niemann and Sergio Garcia are not in this Masters, and they don't have an alternate list. So with those 2 not being in the field, because we're playing in November, we're doing a 2-tee start, which is extremely rare to do at the Masters. We're going to have guys going off of both the 10th tee and the first tee on Thursday and Friday, and that's because of daylight, because the sun sets at 5:30.
A lot of people didn't put that 2 and 2 together, and they're talking about why is coverage starting at 1 o'clock Eastern? Why are we getting all these different scenarios with how the players are teeing off on separate tees? Well, it's because sun goes down now. Daylight savings time was last week. We all got the benefit of an extra hour of sleep, but you also burn an extra hour plus of daylight. And so just to get everything in, you know, when you watch this tournament on Thursday and Friday and then going into the weekend, you're not going to see grandstands, which I think is going to look remarkably different. You're not going to see ropes to keep patrons out. It's going to be like getting an intimate look at the best players in the world play this course in the conditions that the members typically play it, because there aren't going to be any grandstands, ropes, patrons, or anything that would normally come with the Masters.
True that, but this is Wednesday.
It is.
And even though there isn't a par 3 contest on Wednesday, you know what guys do get to do on Wednesday?
Skip.
Practice. We ain't Allen Iverson, but we got to talk about some practice, because one guy had 2 fun practice days that we know of, and one of them, John Rahm, happened yesterday on the 16th. Matt 8. I mean, come on, man.
That's playing a left to right
Come on.
skip as good as I've ever seen. Now, this is tradition.
Yes.
When you
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
When you get to the tee box,
on
the par
16.
3 16th, the players know, and people start chanting skip, 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 the patrons. So people know this is tradition. Just because there isn't anybody there screaming and yelling skip, 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 you still have to take part.
They all went up and did it. Now, a couple of things there for John Rahm. Number one, yesterday, gets the ace on 16. It's his birthday.
Happy birthday, great Sun Devil, John Rahm.
What?
Sun Devil.
Go, Rahm. It's your birthday. It's your birthday. Now, the other thing about that wasn't his first hole-in-one. Wasn't his first hole-in-one for the week. Why? Because Monday on the par 3 4th hole, ace. And guess who was playing with him in that group?
Ricky Fowler.
Bam. Ricky Fowler is with him while playing. I mean, and I was with both of them then on Monday night.
Yeah.
After the hole-in-one. The one thing that they did talk about the hole-in-one on number 4, they didn't even know it was a hole-in-one.
There was no patrons to yell.
Right. There's one guy behind that green, and the guy goes, woo! And they just saw the guy go, woo. And those kind of woos, you're not sure if he went woo because it hit the flag stick and bounced off, or if he went woo because it went in or because it was real close. And then they get down there's a ball mark and no ball.
Think about that as well. Think about practice rounds as these guys are preparing. Completely different than what we're typically used to seeing them when we're down there in April. And that's another good indication. You see Rahm doing it, having fun with the skip, and them getting around the course. They'll tell you, anybody who's covered this tournament, anybody who's been out there will tell you how important and how vital the practice rounds are Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
But
it's been a completely different dynamic in the early part of this week.
And that's the main thing. They will tell you practice is important Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but no course on any of the majors or the PGA Tour changes more from Wednesday to Thursday than Augusta does.
Pin placements, mowing,
speed of greens,
all of it.
Around the greens, the areas, the chipping areas, all of that stuff changes. And then from Thursday on, changes like crazy too. Now, of course, the guy we got to talk about.
Yes, sir.
You know, the last year's defending champion. So if we're going to talk about the defending champion, Tiger Woods, well, you know, we got to show you a little something, don't we?
Waited for years. Many doubted we'd ever see it. But here it is. The return to glory.
22 years later, you walk off and you hug your children.
You know, to see Charlie there and just open up our arms, and it meant a lot to me, and it still does. And just reminded me so much of me and my dad. And to come full circle like that, it still gives me, you know, a little teary.
And he hit it perfectly when he talked about that win last year coming full circle. And I want to dive into that for a couple of reasons. One, I think 1997, a win for the ages, was one of the more remarkable, indelible moments in the sport's history, because we all know the story of the racial barriers that were broken at Augusta National, and Tiger not only breaking down those racial barriers, bulldozing through that wall and cementing himself as one of the greatest players on the planet, even at that time at 21 years old. To then take that, with all the Masters he had won, he had gone on to win 3 more after that for 4.
Right.
And then he had all of the injuries and the surgeries and the back and the this, that, and the other. People left him for a non-factor forever. But anyone who was paying close attention to Tiger knew that if there was one major championship that he could sneak up and beat Tiger Woods again, it was the Masters. And so to have that moment, and I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in sports, where you see what 97 meant with him hugging his dad Earl after the putt on the 18th, and then now seeing this player and this person who's gone through so many personal troubles and injuries, to then get it when no one expected it,
right,
and then to then have the hug with his son is the most incredible thing I've seen in golf theater, and that includes Jack when he won his in the 80s.
I'll tell you this, I have never seen more people openly crying in a media center where we're not supposed to root for anything. But that story and that moment when he hugged Charlie, I just, even watching that, I start feeling like, did Tom Rinaldi just walk in? Like, come on, man, why y'all gonna do that right now? Because it was one of those moments where everyone, and we have on ESPN.com now, where were you?
Yeah.
Where you go through all the celebrities and athletes, and they all remember where they were, and everyone stopped what they were doing to watch. So with that being said, in the past, expectations for Tiger now?
Okay, so if you listen to our podcast, you know how I feel about Tiger Woods, in that I've said it on numerous occasions. If last year, winning the Masters 2019 is the last thing that we ever see out of Tiger Woods, roll credits, most talented golfer we've ever seen, and I'm content with that.
So you saying, like, we just had the graphic up there, Jack's got 6, Tiger's got 5. Does Tiger ever get 6? And what you're saying is he's not getting it this year.
This year. I have zero.
He's not getting it at this Masters.
Zero expectations for Tiger to win.
Okay. So what are your expectations, since you think last year was his walk-off?
I'm one of those that even the status of his game right now is not good. I am one of those believers that Tiger could just roll out the ball, put a T-peg into the ground, and be competitive at Augusta. For me, for Tiger, competitive this week would be somewhere in the top 25.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
But look, Tiger's also one of those players who on Thursday and Friday not do much, and then when he's not getting paid attention to on the weekend because he's so far off the lead, he'll backdoor his way into a top 20.
So he's going to do like the Rory Mcllroy.
He's going to do the quintessential Rory McIlroy, backdoor his way into a top 10.
Yeah, but see, for me, I look at Tiger Woods and I think to myself, if he misses the cut this year, would I be surprised? No. No, because his putter has not been good at all.
But again, there's Tiger putter everywhere else, and there's Tiger putter at Augusta,
True.
where he could probably sit in the clubhouse and draw the entire course on
But
a
this
napkin.
cut is only top 50. There's no more top inside the 10-shot rule. There's no more 10-shot rule. So because there's no more 10-shot rule, like, you got to be in that top 50. So for him, if that putter is cold Thursday, Friday, I mean, I know there's only 92 guys in the field, and if you take a bunch of like the amateurs out and the past champions, that even one or two of those guys are going to play sneaky good. But when I look at Tiger, would I be surprised if he missed the cut? No. But would I also be surprised if he finished top 20?
You can't have it both ways.
Yes, you can. The way that Tiger is playing, and because it's the Masters, when you think of Tiger, you go, this is where you put the shoulder shrug emoji in.
This is where your argument fell flat with Tiger ever winning another major championship. Tiger at Augusta is different than Tiger at every other course on the planet. Now, he's got success at tracks like Bay Hill. We've seen him go there and win whenever he wants.
You see this active streak he's got there, though.
That's what I'm saying. This is his course. This was where he was trained to be great. And so, again, when he was going through that personal scandal, we hadn't heard or seen from him, and then he got the interview. Remember all of that? And he rolled out. I think he finished T3 or 4 that year and hadn't played in forever. So I understand his game is not in a great state, but people don't understand how effective he is when he drives up Magnolia Lane and says, you know what?
And he doesn't
this is home. It's a home game.
have to be perfect off the tee, and this is a second shot golf course.
And we talked about it on the podcast as well. Patrons
That's the one. He's going to miss them.
But he doesn't have to go through all the garbage of being the defending champ and all of that.
Where that equals itself out.
I think it balances it out.
All right, but he's going to miss them. Speaking of hitting driver, so look here. This is a...
Is that my driver?
No, it's lefty. This is a normal-sized driver right here.
Normal-sized driver for who?
This is just standard length. No, this is a standard length. This is a standard length driver for anyone 6 foot or under, under 6'1".
All right, which is how long?
It's about 45 inches.
Okay. Right.
This is the driver that Bryson DeChambeau might be hitting. Now, I want everybody to check this out.
You're failing at this visual miserably.
No, I'm not. Look at that. There. See? You can see that.
3 inches.
That is,
Let me see that.
Which is a huge, huge difference.
So this is the Bryson DeChambeau, and we think that he's going with this.
He in the beginning of the week was not 100% sure and said probably not because he wasn't hitting it confidently, and then had a session with his coach, went out and played and hit it really well, and now was in between whether or not he wanted to hit it. And guess what? If we're going to find something.
Well, I know you spoke with his coach.
Yeah.
And before we get to that interview, I want to say one thing about Bryson.
Okay.
If there's one player in this entire field that can go out and absolutely obliterate this course and embarrass this course, it's Bryson DeChambeau. It's not Dustin Johnson. It's not Rory McIlroy. It's not Brooks Koepka. He's the one guy that I think could make a mockery of this course.
One thing scares me about that, but before I get to what scares me, I think we should actually hear from the guy who is the coach of Bryson DeChambeau, Chris Como.
As distance plays into it, I'm going to be hitting it to these places where, I think Tiger was in '97. And so I've been actually looking at some film and footage of where Tiger was and how he played it, how he liked to play it. Obviously 11, there's trees over on the right-hand side, can't do what he did there, but there's certain holes that I can kind of feel out and see what he did then and compare it to my game now so I can get a better understanding of what to kind of do to this golf course. I'm trying to hit it as far as possible, but I will say that I am hitting it further now than I was at Shriners. I am hitting it further than the U.S. Open, and I'm trying, a driver this week that may help me hit it even a little bit further. So we'll see. I don't know. I feel like people are starting to understand that it's not just about me being quirky and doing things in my own way. It's about the process of trying to be better each and every day.
And you're not going to be able to do that all by yourself. So it is my absolute pleasure to bring in the man who is helping Bryson DeChambeau with his swing and a guy who I have walked a few fairways with in the past, Chris Como. So, number one, Chris, going through and seeing everything that Bryson has been doing in changing his body and working on his golf swing to get longer and longer and longer, what has impressed you the most and what has scared you the most?
Oh, all of it and all of it. I mean, it's I mean, really though, right? I mean, he's changed his body dramatically. His swing has changed a bit. He's obviously made massive jumps in club head speed, which has been, kind of a summation of a lot of not really little things, a lot of things put together. So all those in isolation would be really impressive, but to be able to do, a lot of things, make a lot of changes at the same time, has been pretty extraordinary. And just the amount of time and effort, just the work ethic he's put into it, that he has in general. It's he had mentioned, he referenced Tiger in his interview, right? It's very much in the mold of how Tiger did stuff throughout his career. So all those things have been incredibly impressive, and they've also scared me because anytime you make dramatic changes, there's risk involved in it. And that's one of the things we've talked about quite a bit is the inherent risk in what he's doing with changing his body, making some changes to his golf swing. But there's also upside, and this is where he's been very thoughtful in his approach and really tried to kind of do things that he thinks can maximize that upside, and hopefully minimize the risk through that thoughtfulness.
When you look at where he is now, what was the one thing that he did in his golf swing where you saw the biggest jump in club head speed and ball speed?
I think in general, just making a bigger turn in his hips and his pelvis. Again, like even with the swing, there's been a lot of different changes that have happened, and you can't really say, even the one that's the biggest difference, it's still probably whatever. If I were to give a percentile to it, maybe 40% of it, and it's a lot of things coming together. But just the sort of the how big his turn is from his hips is his really activate his lower body more. It's allowed him to make his swing longer without getting sloppy with the way his arms and the club work, which in turn allows him to force into that club for a longer period of time, which is has a pretty strong relationship to club head speed. So, just his lower body action, made his swing longer and has allowed him to use his lower body in a more powerful way. Yeah, big time. Now, Bryson talked about hitting it to places where only Tiger had hit it in 1997, and that was before all the Tiger-proofing changes that have happened out there. We heard Bryson originally in the beginning of the week say he wasn't 100% sure about this driver, a 48-inch driver. I want to go through some of the clubs and the clubs that are in his bag, but I want to start with that 48-inch driver. And what was your first reaction when he came to you and was like, hey, check this out, and I want to hit this? Did you have a bleep moment? Like, no, we're not doing that. No, I mean that's the whole thing, right? There is no sort of like there's no this is you can't do this unless it's outside the rules of golf, right? That's the only constraints that we're trying to work within are what are the rules. Conventional wisdom, we're definitely trying to sort of rethink that and see if there's edges to be found in places where people have oftentimes made assumptions that you should do it this way or you can only do that way. So absolutely, there's not a no on my side to any sort of crazy idea that he has, but it is hey, let's explore this thoroughly. Let's really try to stress test it. Let's sure it's it's ready before you kind of put it into play in this type of setting. He went on the course yesterday. He hit a bunch of 48s. And he drove it awesome. It was really, really great. So it's tempting to put it in play. I'm not sure that there's a material difference between that and the 45. It's sort of a tricky thing. As the club gets longer, you don't necessarily get a huge jump in club head speed. He definitely had some jump, but now it's a question of, okay, does it really, is there certain, say, bunkers that aren't in play with the 48 that would be in play with the 45. If that's the case, that's a big difference, right? It's a big strategic difference, a big potential for a strokes gain difference. But if the 48 isn't taking things out of play that would be in play for the 45, it doesn't become as big of a difference. And then you got to ask, okay, this hasn't ever been in play before. So is it really worth, kind of running that risk of trying something, that you actually haven't tested in competition before? So I think he's weighing the sort of the pros and cons of that. I would guess that right now the likelihood is for the 45 to kind of be in play. But again, nothing's off the table with Bryson. So I'm not committing to anything.
When you go down the list, look at here. What's the one hole that jumps out at you the most with his second shot in club?
13. He's had some shots in the 13 that are just ridiculous. He just smashes it down there, and it's just like he's got a short iron. I think he hit a wedge in yesterday. I guess 13 jumps out at me, especially because of like where that could be in terms of the tournament on Sunday and how that could be a massive swing potentially.
And I did hear a rumor that at one of the practice rounds he had a 53-degree wedge into 13. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I couldn't eat enough pimento cheese and egg salad sandwiches to get down there that far.
Yeah, I don't, and the thing is, it's wet, right? And so much of it's carry for him. He just hits the ball. He had one shot on the range. I think the apex was right around 200, which is like obnoxiously high, right? You could sing the Star Spangled Banner while the ball's in the air, just kind of waiting for it. And if it's soft, like that carry is going to sort of amplify his advantage, right? There's guys who are long hitters, but they're on the lower side, and they typically got to get a lot of run out of their ball. And that's part of their distance. For him right now, it's primarily carry, which favors in the wet conditions a bit.
The last thing I want to ask you about is what are you most looking forward to this Masters? And is there anything about this week that makes you a little nervous when it comes to Bryson?
What am I most looking forward to? He's in such a great place, I think, emotionally with the game in general. And just to see how he handles himself. At the U.S. Open, just his attitude, his focus was incredible. And just to kind of like watch however he plays, just to watch him really find his stride in these majors is a lot of fun. So I think that's sort of the most exciting part for me, is just to see him, how he's evolved as a player on the biggest stage, just maturity, emotional, all that. And then the thing that scares me, I don't know. I'm excited. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing to really be afraid of, I don't think. It's just fun.
Do you have a prediction? What score would you take for Bryson? Give me a prediction.
Oh, jeez.
Because he was low amateur in 2016.
I know. I'm not putting out a number. I'm staying away from that. I'm staying away
I hate
from a
when people
number.
do that to me too, man. It's fair. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I'm being a little bit superstitious on my side. I'm staying away from it though. I feel good. It's like one shot at a time. That's my mantra all week. Just one shot. Be focused on one shot, and then I'm going to sit here and say a number. I can't do it. What if he sees this?
You know he will. You know he will too. He would see this and then he'll send you a text. I thought you said one shot at a time. What you doing saying minus 23, dude? What are you doing? Why would you do?
I was thinking minus 25. Why are you putting limits on me? It's like I can't win.
Oh,
right?
Chris, man, this is awesome.
I was thinking minus 20. Why are you putting high expectations on me? It's like I can't win.
It's exactly right. Stop doing that, man. I thought we were friends. This was awesome, dude. I can't thank you enough for hanging out for a little bit. And listen, the next time that we're out walking around at golf courses, make sure the water bottle that you bring out and walk around doesn't look like alcohol. I'm just saying.
I can't promise that. I'm a water snob.
I know
I got
you.
these glass bottles that people confuse for alcohol. It's like, no, just clean water.
I'm just a water snob. That's it. And you don't hear that very often. Thanks, man. You take care.
Thank you.
So when you see Chris Como walking on the golf course with following his guys, he's not holding a bottle of vodka. He's actually just holding a bottle of water, which, have you ever heard of someone who considers himself a water snob?
Oh, yeah, there's a snob for everything. There's coffee snobs, water snobs, beer snobs.
All right.
Wine
All right.
snobs.
All right. I
fault.
said one thing coming out of this that I want you to know that scares me.
What?
That if Bryson destroys this course like you say he's going to, then expect Bryson DeChambeau to do to the golf ball what Adam Scott winning at the Masters did to the long putter. Remember I said that.
All right.
Just remember I said that. Let's get to the other guys. Jon Rahm, world number 2. He is my pick to win this week. Jon Rahm, I say, wins the Masters, first major championship, and becomes world number 1 by the end of the year.
Yeah, I think he's trending well. He's been one of those guys in the major championships that we've said, look, he certainly has the game. Does he have the temperament? Does he have the head? The answer to those questions is yes, it's starting to get to that point. He was number 1 in the world for a cup of coffee, but he's playing as good as anyone in the world. I love Jon Rahm this week. Bryson's my pick, but would not be surprised if Jon Rahm went out and got his first major championship.
All right. How about Rory McIlroy? We talked about this on the podcast with Rory McIlroy. You think not having patrons benefits Rory McIlroy? I say the demons that Rory had are in his head, and patrons are not going to help. They don't help either way. If you remember in 2018, the patrons were rooting on Rory McIlroy. Guess who won, who was playing in the group with him? Captain America. Now, maybe it's a Patrick Reed thing, that Rory just can't play with Patrick Reed ever because Patrick's going to beat him. But Rory, I think, top 5s this week, but doesn't.
I think this is 6th look at the career Grand Slam.
Yep.
I think you're confusing me saying the patrons not being there are going to help. I don't think it's the reason he's lost and had these opportunities. I just think he's going to go out there and look at this absolutely beautiful golf course without grandstands and ropes and be like, hey, let's just go fire around and play some rounds of golf and see what happens. That's why I think the patron aspect gets into it, just because the look of the golf course is going to be different.
And he was dressed right there like he was going over to Fort Gordon after practice. Now, how about world number 1, DJ? What are your expectations of DJ?
Well, my expectations are for DJ what they are every time he goes to Augusta National, save for the year that he was playing as good as anyone coming into the tournament. Then he fell and hurt his back a couple of years back. He's rounded back into form. He is another one of those players. If there's 3 players that can run and hide, it's Bryson, Rory, and DJ. And Dustin Johnson at Augusta National, we've talked about it comes down to the putting.
Yes.
He's as long as anybody. He's worked on his wedge game, but with a putter, that's the one place you cannot be off.
Yeah, putting in short game, but with Bryson, the thing that scares me as we're going into this first round and then the preview show is Bryson, I've never seen him be able to flight it really well, fly it into that second story window. And so if he's hitting everything high and the wind picks up a little bit, which it's always going to do and swirl at Augusta, especially on the weekend, that's the one thing that I'm saying when it comes to Bryson.
But I'll tell you, between those 3 guys that we just talked about, Rahm, Rory, and some of the big hitters, I mean, you're thinking about Brooks Koepka. He's coming back. He's healthy. Jordan Spieth has been absolutely abysmal, but can the familiarity of this place get him back into form? Tiger. Oh, by the way, Phil Mickelson. When you're
stop it.
No, just in terms of storylines.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
Talking about.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. I've got to combine my worlds with college football and the Masters. But you know what? I'm going to be there for it. I'm going to do it.
I can't wait. Hey, egg salad or pimento cheese?
Pimento cheese, 7 days a week.
Nah, man, egg salad. Unless it's from White Savor in Augusta, because they had the original pimento cheese recipe that Augusta uses now. And I do love that. Thanks, everybody.